Yeah, and now looking at DNM's hero and with only 15, 17 seconds to actually pick it, is it going to be the troll? Is it going to be the jug? Is it going to be just anybody? It's really tough. It's a really rough position to be in because you can't look at heroes like DNM's own, I was going to say Naga Siren, but they bend out their own Naga Siren and they go for Wraith King, a hero that is in that same vein, just good melee hero, another initiator, something to take the pressure off the rest of the lineup because the Broodmother isn't going to be helping out with the stun department until maybe a Hex way later down the line. But I don't know. It's a tough pick. And Wraith King, a hero that's been receiving a lot of attention in our tournament so far, just because of the small changes to skeletons and maybe the Wraithfire Blast coming out a little bit faster. But aside from those two changes, that was it. That's the only reason why this hero is even being looked at slightly. And when we have seen it, I don't think we've seen it gain too much success just yet. It's not that knockout punch that we've seen other teams try and then fail with. And then Infamous, well, there's that flexibility all the way until the end. 24 pick Disruptor. But this is why they do it, because now all the lanes make a little bit more sense. Slayton gets the Mirana 4. You have your off lane Dawnbreaker. You send the Tusk mid. And I think Infamous are just happy with every single lane.
Yep. Flexibility really pays off for them. They've got just about everything they need, and I don't know. I think you really hit the nail on the head, ET, with the Wraith King. We've seen it a couple of times now, and it's really just never been that impressive. And I think part of the reason why is because teams are picking it up in a situation not where they think the Wraith King is really good, but where they think Reincarnation buys you some time. But if your draft is revolving around our carry is going to get his ass kicked the first time around, so he needs a second life built in inherently, that feels like you're already drafting defensively.
Yeah, and I think really when it comes down for 5RAT, it's really going to be seeing what this CM and Broodmother can do, because that is the strongest part of their draft. And it's the part that, of course, was uncontested. It's what their first pick was able to allow for them, but it was a choice going for the CM instead of the Mirana, because I feel like then suddenly you don't want to 8 your Ember Spirit, suddenly you don't care about it, and then Kits gets forced onto this puck, and sure, Kits is a great puck player, but I just want to see him do as much as he possibly can. And okay, sure, you've got Puck versus Tusk, classic counter. You know, Tusk can only sit there and run around in circles and maybe punch you in the Dream Coil, but there's a lot of HP bars that you're gonna have to get through. Infamous have a lot of health, just raw health on their cores. I just hope 5RAT don't find themselves running out of their own damage.
Yeah, that was already a point of concern even before the Wraith King got picked up, so... Well, we'll have to see. I mean, 5RAT, there is a world where this lineup still just has enough teamfight strength maybe to overwhelm what Infamous put together, but it's certainly not going to be easy. Especially considering if you're Infamous, you are not making it to Phase 3. That's already been decided. You are out, so you are literally playing this series for your own practice and to play spoiler, to try and make sure that 5RAT don't get the highest possible seed. So they're effectively playing with house money here, ET, right? Infamous have quite literally nothing to lose, so they can afford to really give this everything they've got to try and ruin 5RAT's day.
Yeah, and honestly, I think the practice aspect might be the better part because, like I said, I think last time we cast, this is probably the lowest placing Infamous has ever gotten ever in a BTS Pro Series. And of course, when everybody gets seeded through into that third phase and only one team gets eliminated coming out of the second, then, maybe you could say it's been easier in games past, but
Mm-hmm.
this was certainly a situation in which I think everybody expected Infamous to maybe perform just a little bit more, and they really haven't. And something to maybe go to the drawing board and really think. Of course, Infamous is an org that is constantly willing to make changes for the better of their team and for their players. So hopefully they don't make a change all too quick. It's only maybe a tournament and a half at this stage for this squad, but I definitely feel like this is a result that they weren't expecting, and really nobody expected, to be honest.
It's just a bit unfortunate, right? The field had a lot of teams that we were all looking at in similar fashion. Teams trying to maybe build on some solid performances in the previous pro circuit before they moved into the next one, and only 4 teams can move on, so That is just the nature of the format this time around. 5RAT obviously played well enough and are fortunate enough to be one of those teams who will be moving on, but
Meow.
taking any sort of victory here for Infamous is going to give them maybe that little bit of closure. This did not go the way that you wanted, but maybe you can end on a high note. Although, as of right now, ET, no ending in sight because we haven't even started yet. We did begin with what is, again, feeling more and more like the customary pause.
Yeah, just classic essay pause coming from Cat so probably just seeing if the ping can subside or maybe, somebody's in the bathroom.
Oh
A
boy.
lot of these infamous teams, usually they have one drafter, one guy sitting at the table, and then everybody else is just, doing their own thing. So could be a slew of different things keeping us paused up here, but we'll have to see. Because aside from Infamous's previous performances, I think their draft looks great. I think they got exactly what they wanted. I think they're going to have to maybe answer this puck in a little bit more of a definitive way. At the end of the day, Cat ended up being your answer on this disruptor for the puck. So when it comes down to it, Kit should be able to react to quite a lot of the aggression that Infamous is going to try onto him. But it's also where you are still playing puck, though. You will just get one shot, especially if the blink dagger on Sebas isn't too late. It's where maybe that initiation is just going to be enough. And GWR set by AB1, and then we're still just waiting.
Yep. Still waiting for Infamous to give us the all clear. But yeah, that will be the point. The control on the puck is going to be a crucial aspect here for the Infamous lineup. And the good news for them is that they have the chain stun, right? If you hit one, you have a high chance of getting the follow-up. It's just hitting the one against a puck kind of is not all that easy at this point. The rest of the lineup, though, will not really present the same issues pre-BKB. So if they can't deal directly with Kit's ET, there might be a world where they just look to bully everyone else around him instead.
Yeah, and I do wonder how this Sven's actually going to do versus the Broodmother
That's a
because,
strange manner of conduct.
in
The
maybe
lesson for you
patches of
is
past,
never try.
Sven was one of the best answers to Broodmother, but
now.
that's where Silken Bola honestly makes that matchup a lot closer than
Mhm.
I think Kataro might be expecting. Where, sure, Sven is great. You've got the cleave. If you can hit the spider, even better. But with that mischance thrown into it, I feel like it's a situation where nowadays Sven's just get level 5 and then rotate actually out of the lane versus the Broodmother because surviving versus spawn spiderling spam is really difficult. It's where you don't have
My
a real
cable is
easy way of
low.
getting life
My
steal
cable
back
is
into
low.
yourself, and it's not like you're going to be spamming salves on Kataro just to stay in a lane versus a Broodmother. So it's an awkward spot to be in. It's where I think the Sven might rotate out early, and then Oscar might immediately just try to pick up the slack because that's probably the best situation for Infamous. Because otherwise, I think if they do try to stick in their lanes a little bit too long, they just get hard punished by the spider. And then
Right.
Broodmother walks over you, and then, well, 5RAT's win looks a lot easier.
And then, of course, you're the Sven, so we could see maybe a little bit more in terms of the early cleave points, and then you're kind of
I
just good
got
to
this.
go, pushing into that jungle. So we'll see when they look for that timing, or maybe if speed on the other side forces them into that timing. As we did have Cat reconnect here, so hopefully his ping situation is a-okay, and get this first match of the day underway here. Dual smokes coming out from the two sides. Of course, we see this so often, right? The smokes come out, feels like maybe 3/4 at the time. They're just looking for the speed bonus, looking for some warding. Not sure we'll see any engagement here, although there is a potential collision course here in the jungle. Cat threw down the ward first, and it looks like now he's walking away, though.
Yeah, is just going to really escape, just gets away, moves out. Not really going to see too much here. They were both early smokes as well, so really neither team is going to be able to push too far onto the opponent's side. And now, well, Ward is going to scout all of Infamous that Kits had placed, and not sure they're going to get the D ward up on the high ground immediately, but it's the same situation towards bottom where Cat U's Ward sees the CM and the Wraith King, so both teams very aware of each other's positioning.
He's coming out on both sides. See if anybody actually goes for any sort of D ward play here. There is a sentry up on Sladen, so he might take a look. But right now, make sure you get that bounty rune first, because he does have a free path to it, but it's still a 2-2 split. All that movement, all those shenanigans, but no fighting, no extra runes, just some good ward placement, and hopefully for both sides, a stable start to their laning stage here as AB1. Yeah, okay. Gonna get the first bit of gold in the game there with the D ward, so personally, that's not going to help him out too much, but Kits can now breathe a little bit easier in that middle lane.
Yeah, and remove the only rune vision that Infamous had, so good stuff. Even though they are both going to be slightly late to the lane, it shouldn't matter too much, even though kind of a nasty deny there. But we'll have to see, because I think DNM is in for kind of a rough one. He's just going to get clicked by Sladen all the time, and then, of course, once we see that level 2, we know that Oscar is just going to immediately just ram his face into the Wraith King and then try to get as much damage as he can.
Dawnbreaker will do Dawnbreaker things, and I don't know, it's a bit of a narrow window, but I could still see, Starbreaker into Arrow, if it's timed up right, being something that this 5-rat duo will have to at least show a certain bit of respect to, because maybe DNM can survive it, but we have seen repeatedly since she's become popular, just about any offlane duo in the game kills Crystal Maiden if they get a combo onto her.
Yeah, it's certainly a position where AB1 will constantly need to be careful, even though right now DNM's kind of getting bodied. Oscar, even though he doesn't have a Clawing Blade, just has the lane exactly where he wants, and there isn't really a good way for the Wraith King to contest right now.
Well, I guess we'll see if... Yeah, there we go. DNM does now put a point up in the Wraithfire, so... Mana-wise, maybe it's not the most efficient spell, but at least now you have something to try and fight back in a more definitive manner, but we'll see just how willing he is to spend that mana, put that ability on cooldown just for the sake of maybe finding some extra last hits, but if he doesn't, it feels like this is just going to carry on in the same fashion as... Oh, Oscar? Well, he tried to start the combo, but he gets stunned instead, and now with the Frostbite coming in, he has to fall back. Got some wand charges that should keep him safe, but... Oh, there you go. Wraithfire Blast, not a bad spell for getting Oscar off of you.
No, and if it does interrupt, especially the Starbreaker combo, then, well, you've got two fantastic ways of stopping it in the lane, but Oscar does need to be careful, because one more bad trade like that, it's out of regen right now, it's where DNM and AB1 can certainly abuse that fact.
They'll pass over some tangos at least, so he's not completely empty, but still not the most ideal of circumstances. Meanwhile, over on the other side of the map, Catyu taking a little bit of damage from moves there. The Clockwork, obviously, trying for the tried and true combo, Battery Assault to the Cog Trap, but, well, at level 2 you really don't do all that much damage, not even to this Disruptor, so... Catyu stands strong, okay for now, has the Mango, so he will likely continue to just spam the hell out of Thunderstrike, as over on the other side, hold on, DNM? He's in trouble. Sladen's just going to leap after him, keeping the right clicks on him, and First Blood goes the way of Infamous, and AP1 is just unfortunately trying to do too many things at once. He went for the pull, but that left his carry alone.
Yeah, it's kind of textbook mistake here now, AB1. Oh, just got level 3, needs to be a little bit careful. Arrow doesn't land, though, and that's going to be, yeah, too far for Oscar, as it should be. But they will go over and then just take the creep wave, and maybe they decide to pull 2. Yeah,
Oh,
Oscar
man.
decides to go for it, and now Oscar's got a treasure trove of golden XP that he's just going to take all the way back to his tower.
Watch that courier, though. It's a little bit concerning, but everything's hopefully going to be fine. He'll just take it back under tower, and, well, now if you're DNM, there we go. At least he has this play. He summons up some skeletons. That's going to attempt to maintain some sense of equilibrium as he pulls the opposing creep wave back, and it's not a bad play. It's just Oscar's going to get more out of this.
Yeah, definitely. Just the creeps didn't end up killing the wave, even though it was a double-stacked camp, just too powerful. And I think maybe large in part because there was a flag bearer in that wave, but ends up feeling like quite the bad situation for 5RAT, as now they effectively get 3 waves uncontested for free underneath their own tower. So it feels great if you're them.
Oscar gets a nice bit of experience. He is the highest level in this lane by At this point, actually, I think he's a full level over the Wraith. Yeah, he is. That's not a great sign if you're DNM, but there's not a whole lot you can do about it at the moment. So, just gotta try and balance out the lane, find that equilibrium point. Meanwhile, back down bot. There's a little bit of a skirmish ET, but nothing too serious here. Kataro is a little bit too tough, I think, for this duo to bring down unless they really catch him out, although they are trying for it. They do get the cog trap down. Kataro, with a little bit of help from the tower, is able to get away initially. Speed, okay. I think one more right-click might have done the job, and he should have had enough health to survive the tower, but he wasn't sure. Decides not to take the risk.
Yeah, Speed, purely a business guy. He says, hey, if Kataro's alive, if he's dead, it doesn't really matter to me. If he's low, he's not going to feel confident to walk up to these waves, and will honestly set up for the next kill maybe even easier, even though it is pretty annoying. And now, ooh, spells are kind of split. Half onto the Sven, half onto the Disruptor. But this is all just a waiting game, though. As we all know with Brood, just getting level 6 is just the name of the game. Simply, and Speed's level 5, so he's absolutely happy.
Rune spawned up at 6 minutes. Sladen was able to slip in there to grab the arcane out from under Kits' nose, so the puck has to take a bit of a detour. There was still a bounty rune being saved for him, so he will get the bottle refill, ET, and honestly, it's a bottle refill that he really needs right now, because you take a look at the last hit count, Sebas is really pulling away.
Nope, he definitely is, as Moose does die bottom. But nope, Sebas is doing a great job fighting for a lot of those denies, just straight up, just doing a good job, as well as constantly going over to the large camp and just farming it in addition to the mid lane, so just having maybe a little bit more of that early nuking power. Once Puck hits level 7, you know, then Puck is the one that has more damage than you, but just early shards just still scaling incredibly well. One of the reasons why that hero is so popular. Even though we haven't seen Sebas get a real active rune yet, can only imagine that that's where this game is heading. You see a haste or a DD, that's when the Tusk becomes a monster.
And, oh, I was tracking for a moment. Sebas made it about halfway to the top lane before he decided to turn around, so I've not seen any particular movement out of him. Of course, with all the farm he's getting in this middle lane, he's approaching the 50 last hit mark. It's kind of tempting to just stay and continue to take that advantage, but I think at this point he realized there's maybe a little bit of movement coming out on the other side. Kits had sort of rotated away for a moment, so I mean, you're a Tusk. The farm is tempting, but you can't spend all day just last hitting in your lane. Unfortunately, ET, this little maneuver, he goes wide right trying to avoid the vision. Instead, he walks directly on top of it, so there's no sneaky play there, and since they know the Tusk isn't coming bot, well, Speed and Moose go in and they take Cat down.
Yeah, just an unfortunate situation where you're scouted out, you waste all of your time. Kits, though, dies for the regen rune, and that's kind of sad, because the regen rune wasn't even there. It spawned toward bottom, so just dove in a little bit too deep. They do get a return kill bottom, though, with the Soul Guardian, which is pretty nice. Would have loved to get the Broodmother, but he'll take a Clockwork. It's not the worst situation, and you put Oscar where he wants to be, and now 3 cores, same lane.
First stun in, second stun in. They're a little bit blocked off here and need to get vision on the high ground, which, as of right now, they can't really do. So, Speed is going to be able to dodge a bullet there, and as you were pointing out, ET, that's 3 cores bot for no kill. So, efficiency-wise, not great, but Sebas is still sticking around here. Doesn't have any backup if he takes this fight, though. His teammates are farming on the other side of the river, and Moose is just going to be able to push him back with the cogs.
Yeah, he's just trying to be annoying, just blocking out heroes if anything, and oh, look at Kits. He's venturing forward again, looking for Kataro, and he'll go for it, but
now he's in trouble. Yeah, he's got to run away. Kataro's going to be able to make it out. Sebas gets the Walrus Punch. Kataro comes back in for the Stormhammer. Only hits onto Moose, though. They're really splitting their damage at this point, but they want that kill onto the puck. They cannot afford to let him go. The Ice Shards actually do trap Kits in, and Sladen, look at the man just jump all the way forward, but his Starstorm is dodged, and now Sladen has to use the last leap charge to get away, because there's a very angry spider on his ass, and he is going to be able to track down the kill with Kits. And all of a sudden, this fight's looking a little bit awkward. Katyu has now been kind of caught out in the middle of nowhere. Sebas is suddenly fighting alone. He used the Walrus Punch. It wasn't enough damage. Now he's rooted. Now he's dead, and 5RAT somehow come out of that with no casualties, which I did not think was a possibility when we started this engagement.
Yeah, Kits, he's just a dodge artist, just misses out so many spells with that phase shift, and of course, you're overextending on the Brood side of the map. You're just walking underneath webs, and it's the simplest rotation in the world for speed. It's all free, and now, well, speed is quite set up to just go for this bottom tower now. It's where I think they would love to make maybe one more play with the Soul Guardian before this Brood is completely snowballed, but we're kind of getting there. And then you got to see the weakness just there of Infamous's lineup versus the Puck. If they don't get kits the first time, well, they just didn't have enough damage in that situation. Just not playing with enough damage, and then you get punished hard.
And we see Oscar now TPing in bot, so they are trying their best to hold on to this tier 1 tower. Don't want to let Speed have it for free, and well, that's kind of what the Dawnbreaker is for in this draft a little bit, right? Just with that ability to maybe not fully deny Speed, but at least slow down his progression.
No, that's definitely the name of the game, especially if you can slow him up before he gets this pipe. Even though there is a smoke down bottom, Sebas again is looking for a kill in this lane. Really, I think because they missed their opportunity top, Wraithkin gets level 6, Sebas just doesn't want to go there anymore. And of course, there's a Puck mid, so logically, the only play is for him to be made onto the Broodmother, but just another whiff. Speed's just too aware that this empty lane is empty from Infamous.
And now we come to a very big concern. Sebas has 1 assist so far, and that's really it. So you put the Tusk mid, you're expecting him to be a little bit more active, be a little bit more aggressive, and if those plays aren't paying off for you, if you're not finding those openings, you start to wonder what the Tusk's role becomes at this point. As Oscar, well, as we said before, his role is to try and defend the tower, but it's a bit of a tough ask here with 3 heroes on him. The Dream Coil was committed, but Sebas is in. The Solar Guardian's going to be used point-blank range to get the stun onto the Spider, but they need to be able to finish him off, and right now, they're not doing it. There's the glimpse, though. Pull Speed back in. Kinetic Field prevents him from running. They'll get the kill. They'll get his courier. They won't get kits, though. The Puck, once again, manages to get himself out. Moose is making his escape as well, so if you're 5RAT, at least you mitigate the casualties there, but Speed finally going down is something that Infamous have been looking for all game long, as now they're going to go mid. The Wraith King was trying to push. I don't know if they have the firepower for this one, though. I don't think they realized how many 5RAT heroes were in, and Oscar, he's just kind of suiciding forward, looking for whatever damage he can, but they don't find the kill. DNM, he's dropping low ET, but with the armlet toggle, he's somehow still not dead. Now he goes down, but that's just going to pop the reincarnation. And Sebas, can you hold your ground? He is going to be able to get in there. Takes down Moose. The Static Storm now deployed as well, but there's no kinetic field to follow it up, so they just kind of walk out of it. At least the cores do. Maybe one gets picked off there, but the supports are the only thing that 5RAT lose.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's pretty much a dead even gold exchange, and with how cheap all these ultimates are, nobody really feels like they lost anything at the end of the day. Really, I think the most unfortunate aspect of that fight is just a team fight that 5RAT were able to take without the Broodmother, and DNM does lose reincarnation. So now, Infamous actually have a smoke play to be made onto that Wraith King, but it's a play that they have to actually make. And it's why CatU is moving up here, placing wards, getting some D wards going already, because they know that now they have a pretty large window to actually make a go at this Wraith King. As CatU, though, moves.
Okay. Glimpse is going to pull Moose away. CatU may be allowed to walk out of here. DNM does eventually throw the Wraithfire Blast in, but can't really follow it up. His teammates' cogs kind of keep him away, and well, not a bad move there from CatU to survive it. Hookshot is on cooldown. Not for the longest amount of time, but if Moose is trying to make those initiations and whiffing, then you breathe a little bit more easily on the Infamous side.
Yeah, and one of the nicest things about this Disruptor versus Clock matchup is you can't just do that. You just glimpse him back, he's gone, you kill the cogs, you walk away. He ends up not being that much of a disruptive hero where typically the Clockwork should be, even though it feels like now, really on both sides, we're going to see a little bit of that farm war take place. I think there is a Blink Dagger on Sebas, so they'll smoke with that timing and take another jab at Speed bottom, but at the same time...
Find this kill on Kataro, though.
Yeah, I don't know. They missed the coil as well, I think.
Now they definitely can't. Yeah, Moose is going to get taken down. Kits has to walk away. And I do believe the coil actually did hit. It's just Kataro instantly snapped it as quickly as he could, so they didn't really have much lockdown onto him. And now Speed, over on the other side, is in some trouble. The Stormhammer connects onto him. Kataro, just a brief slow there with the Echo Saber, but it helps keep that spider in place. Sebas gets the kill. That's two, honestly, pretty big pickoffs there. The Moose one maybe not big in terms of the gold that they get, but the fact that that was Dream Coil committed, Kataro found a kill, then TP spot and helps find another one, does put Infamous into a very favorable position right now.
Yeah, and one where I thought for a second there the Mirana and Tusk wouldn't be enough, and they would have needed the Disruptor +1 to actually get it, but they just make it work, even with some kind of with spells, just doesn't matter. And then you put Oscar where he wants to be, just nestled in bottom. The Sven will start walking towards top. The Sven's got a Blink Dagger to work towards. And then it just feels like naturally Infamous are going to have a little bit more damage in a lot of these engagements. And looking at what items they're actually going for, they're getting a Deso on the Dawnbreaker, they're getting a BKB straight up on the Tusk, so he doesn't have to worry about Puck anymore. And then Kataro's getting a Blink as well. You see the same items built up on Force or 5RAT, and you see the DNM's getting this Blink Dagger. I just wonder if that's really going to be their slam dunk, or if it's time for him to start greeting out as well, because it's going to be one of those awkward timings where he's going to get this Blink Dagger, he's going to want to turn his build around back for the Deso, and then at the same time he's going to want to BKB because he's going to die every single time unless he has a perfect initiation. It's just where 5RAT need just maybe one item more on each hero before they're ready to fight, where Infamous are much more raring to go.
I do want to ask you about the choice here from Speed. Finished off the Hood, not looking for the immediate pipe upgrade. Instead, we see the Orchid queued up here in his quick buy. So, I don't know. What do you think about the pacing that you're seeing from the Spider trying to go for that silence right now?
It's gonna be a little awkward, and I think, does he have his full pipe on? He might have it in his
okay,
stash.
yeah, he did. My bad.
Nah, it's all good, but to that same point, I don't know if the Orchid's really going to be that indomitable item choice that we usually see, as kind of watching them try to find Kit's top with their lane ward, which would work, but...
Uh-oh. Well, that's a little bit off on the timings there. That's Static Storm deployed, so once again, Kits. Well, hold on. He may not be out yet. Yeah, the arrow is going to hit, but by this point, Slayton's really the only one keeping this chase going, and Kits is kind of starting to realize that, so... Not much of a play to be made there. Over in the middle lane, though, they are trying for Oscar. They get the root down, the freezing field's coming in. Oscar is going to get taken down underneath his own tier 1 tower, so... Kits provides a distraction. 3 heroes chasing him top. They go in, they get the kill, they get the tower. Unfortunately, Kits then gets jumped on back top once they realize where the rest of 5RAT are. But honestly, I think you take that trade. It's core for core. Maybe the puck's slightly more valuable, but you did get the tower off the back of that too for 5RAT.
Yeah, and you get to take over 2 lanes as a result, where really only Slayton is staying top to get creep pressure onto that tier 2, but Kit should also know that, yeah, I got killed by a lane ward, whatever, I tried, but mid, DNM is the hero they cannot afford to lose, and again, he's level 11. He really doesn't want to die here, even though he's feeling like he can aggress. I think DNM knows as well, though. Just let him get level 12 before they take any fight here. Don't get put on that super long cooldown again. At least give him that buffer.
Yeah. Very wise of him to make sure he was safe and then just back off. Don't get greedy, because it's a lot of time knocked off that cooldown, so... He'll appreciate it. His teammates will as well, because then they can actually take a fight without worrying about what they're going to do for the next 2 minutes afterwards, so... We'll see what they can do, because 5RAT are, as you said, opening up a lot of the map with that tier 1 tower going down. Speed just farming like a madman here. No one's really been able to significantly pressure him, so... 5RAT are building themselves up. And if you're Infamous... Well, I don't know, AT. You can't shake the feeling that if something's going to happen, they have to be the team to do it.
No, for sure. And it's where Infamous might want to finish up these items that they all have, you know, 2 or 3 components of There's a Yules on Sladen. Sebas still doesn't have his BKB, but is still only maybe 1,000, 1,500 gold out from having it completed. It's where if they try to be too active right now, they could honestly throw. And Oscar even gave up on his Deso Rush. He decided as well that, okay, I need a BKB. I need items to counter this puck, so that way I don't have to worry about these team fights. It's certainly an immediate U-turn in all of their itemization, which means that as well, if 5RAT can avoid this super strong BKB timing from Infamous, well, they're going to run out of gas, and then they're going to be like, oh, we've only got BKBs. We've got no damage. We've got spell immunity, which is great, but if you can wait it out, if you can kite, if 5RAT can get that super long team fight where everything is just kind of baited out of Infamous, and then they run out of gas, well, that'll be it. DNM, he gets glimpsed back defensively. And Kits, kill.
Oh, he will get the kill. And he actually pulled Sebas in there with the snowball, so your Tusk is losing quite a bit of his HP. He has to back off. Oscar is being chased for the moment. As DNM blinks in, gets the stun, toggles the armlet, so he's not going to get taken down there. And okay, 5RAT strike. It's a little bit messy with the glimpse kind of messing their timing up a little bit, but they still find 2 kills. They force some heroes back to defend against this bottom push, and they are really starting to look like the squad with the momentum, ET. 3k net worth lead. Maybe not the largest in the world, but they're doing quite a bit with it. Although now they need to make sure speed doesn't get picked off. Cog's placed in a perfect spot. Sebas now gets rooted as well by the Frostbite, and he needs backup. Teammates are coming in, but it may be a little bit too late. He's going to get slowed and rooted again. They find that kill. They take Cat U down as well, and Infamous... It's time to take a step back and regroup here, ET.
Yeah, and then Oscar respawns in a very awkward position. They didn't have God Strength at all, so it's not like Guitarra was really expected to do anything in that fight. They're just running into the Spider's neck of the woods and getting torn apart. And now, well, Lift gets forced out of use, speeds back on the bottom. Now they can play for every other outer tower. And 5RAT, well, it's the lineup starting to work. Kits has his Blink Dagger as well, so now he's the monster that you're going to have to deal with the Deso completed up on Wraith King. Roche is going to be the new threat that Infamous are going to have to contend with. It's where they really actually physically need to have this triple BKB timing. Otherwise, there's not very much for them to play for right now.
But you take a look at the progress. Kataro is still a little ways off. Sebas is a bit closer, but still nearly 1,000 gold away, so it's still looking kind of rough. They need to buy more time. Oscar at least has his, but the number one thing you do not want to do if you are going for a triple BKB rush is have one of your cores being forced into using theirs before the other two even have them up, because then your timings are really just ruined. That timing, though, pretty spectacular. Blink stun, hookshot to follow, and Kits cleans up the kill. Now they're into the pit.
Yep, it's enough. Even though DNM doesn't have that many skeletons, they're going to force it just because they can. And of course, with speed coming over, has the Silken Bola, has the small Spiderlings to throw out, this is a very, very dead Roche. And no contest, no shard to throw in, nothing to really be made here. Even though this is a timing where you still have Solar Guardian before BKBs. It's not like 5RAT have anything to go against you right now. But they just simply don't feel comfortable enough to actually take a team fight because they're trying to grade out for these items. And of course, Aegis is not going to change all that much. Their target still is going to be getting speed at the beginning of these team fights, but it just means that Kit can now take his own corner of the map without really having to worry about anybody coming up to kill him. Because if they do, well, he knows that they're out of abilities, and if they're killing him towards top, well, Speed's going to be back towards bottom on that tier 3.
And Speed did eventually sort of call an audible there. That Orchid build that we were sort of talking about earlier has been shifted over to a Heaven's Halberd, which, in all honesty, does a lot more for you, right? 5RAT's plans in a lot of these fights have been bait someone in and then sort of spring a trap on them. The disarm is going to be a little bit more helpful. This, though, is maybe some cause for concern. That's Reincarnation being used. Static Storm now thrown onto DNM in the aftermath, and he needs backup. His teammates are trying to come over, but the Glimpse does pull him back in, but the Static Storm has ended, and now Kits connects. There's going to be the Dream Coil onto 3. BKBs, though, coming out. They're going to continue their chase onto the Wraith King single-mindedly going for that kill, but now, can you deal with the rest of the lineup? Well, with God Strength still up, yeah, they can get through Kits pretty damn fast, but it is just his first life. Aegis brings him back up, and he's a little bit pissed. Pushing his way onto Oscar. They get the silence down onto him, but They don't want to chase through further into that tree line, and that is going to be the end of the fight here. A fight that 5RAT are not happy with in the slightest, right? They lose the Wraith King, they lose the Aegis. AB1 going down is maybe just kind of ho-hum, but they had Aegis and they really end up losing that engagement.
Yeah, got just DNM's life way too easily. Just wasn't prepared. Just simply got arrowed out of the fog. Just Sladen is the one that forced that. But then finding the correct order, not having to see him in these fights, you lose a ton of that utility. There's no Force Staff. There's nobody to actually save DNM in that situation. It's also where the freezing field is really useful. It makes your puck feel like he has damage, because Kits is still kind of utility, and that's also where, even though we could both agree, the Heaven's Halberd, it's a great choice versus Guitar and versus the Sven, it is utility. It's no more damage. It's where speed still takes it really in bursts, and it's where if you don't get them in one shot, well, they walk away, they reset. It's where you really have to start relying on your puck and your Wraith King even more, almost overly so. It's where speed is more of just that split push cheese type hero, and he's going for a Hex, which is certainly going to, again, buff up his utility even more, but not really helping his damage out all too much. Even this is how Speed likes to play. Even when he gets his Undying, this is exactly what he likes to do. He likes to be the aura utility master, have as many buttons to press as humanly possible, but in this situation, I just worry if the numbers are stacked against him.
Meantime, Moose did get his hands on an Aghanim Scepter, so the overclock is going to give them a little bit more in the way of just straight up ability to make plays like this. Moose jumps in, got the Flare Vision onto Catyu. That Solar Guardian is coming in, but it's too late to save, but they are looking for the fight. They get the stun into the arrow to follow it up. Starstorm now deployed in DNM. Oh, Reincarnation already popped. They're going to try and set onto him a second time. There's that Static Storm. Kinetic Field follows. They've got him trapped. The Wraith King's going to get taken down. Kits. Dream Coil is deployed, but they just can't get into this fight. Speed, though, is going to try and make it happen. Getting in, pushing onto Guitar. Do they have the damage for the kill? Yes, they do. And I think they're going to slowly start to turn this. The Snowball, though, from Sebas is going to break up some of that, but the Freezing Field was channeling out the entire time. And AB1 cleans house. Double kill for Crystal Maiden. And 5RAT, they still lose DNM, but that fight just looks so much cleaner for them, and they might get more. Kits, he lands from the Yule Scepter just in time to cancel Sladen's TP with his own Yules. But again, not the highest damage output in the world here on the puck, but eventually he'll get the job done.
Yeah, and 5RAT, even though DNM might be a little bit upset, they got their long, messy engagement that they wanted. Every BKB was used to ensure that DNM died twice, and well, in that situation, where you're fighting underneath 5RAT vision, where you don't get the supports first, where you have to die, buyback, and then barely try to make it there in time to get the Static Storm down, well, these BKBs are ticking. Everybody's at a 7 or a 6 second right now. It's where these fights are only going to get easier for 5RAT, and your timing is only going to slim down from Infamous. It's where 1 or 2 more botched fights like that, suddenly the Wraith King isn't dying that second time, and then you're probably just going to lose the game.
And it is worth noting, the only reason the Wraith King dies in the first place is because Catyu bought back, TP'd in to get the Static Storm down, so... You know, resources were used there. I say resources, pretty much everything that they had, as you pointed out. All their BKBs, all their big spells, and they won't simply be able to do that same play. And I mentioned before, you know, it felt like if something was going to happen, Infamous would have to be the team to do it. Obviously, that is no longer the case, but from their perspective, they may want it to be again, because if they don't initiate, well, you're going to lose somebody right away, and then you have to commit absolutely everything you have to kill a hero, and then still lose the fight. Net worth lead up to 9k now for 5RAT. The question at this point is... Oh, okay. Booze is trying to make a play on to Sebas. The question at this point, ET, objective-wise, what should 5RAT be looking for? Are you trying to take those last couple of outer towers? Are they looking for a team fight? Are we just waiting for Roche again? What should the call be from them? I believe I have lost ET. At least temporarily here, so that explains the silence, or he's just really disappointed in my questioning. That could be it too. So while we wait for ET to return, there is still some action going down here. DNM Able to get the blink initiation on to Katyu. They find that kill, and now they're going to look for Sebas as well, but there's that BKB being popped by the Tusk. They're still kind of chasing after him, though. He's going to have to snowball defensively. Kataro's coming in here as well, but this is not looking good for him. Solar Guardian way too late to save the day. Kataro will fall. Now, Oscar, you're kind of trapped in the middle of this fight as well. Forces out his BKB. That should allow him to make it back into the base, but why? That is an interesting TP attempt. Not going to work out for him. He dies on the steps of his own base. Sladen then gets taken out as well, and well, 5RAT with 4 kills and a clear teamfight win into an objective push.
Yeah, that's, I don't want to say that's it, but this is feeling like it might be over. And now Sebas in the base, he's going to get taken down as well. There's a reason why Oscar's not buying back. He's got nothing left to give, and I think this might just be it. 5RAT just snowballed everything, and even if they don't get this objective, they want to, they could just swing back towards the pit if they really need, but I don't even see why they should, because there's just nothing to give. They've just lost their timing from Infamous. They got their BKBs, they tried to press it, they won their 2 team fights, and then just 1 or 2 botched initiations just resulted in this, a pretty much unwinnable game. The only way they win now, I feel like, is if Kataro has another 2 items in his back pocket, but this Fen is not finding any more places to farm. Maybe they get a glimpse back onto speed here, but they can't glimpse back DNM, really. And they will try for it, but they need to hit this.
Okay. 4 staffs, though, are coming out. Moose, hook shots in, make sure Kataro can't chase, while Kits gets on the back line. Katyu gonna get taken down. Oscar now stunned and dropped. And yeah, this one's looking like it's just about over. They're gonna track Kataro down here as well. Not able to actually finish him, though. Well, at least not yet, but there's the flare. Comes in, helps them finish the job. DNM has his reincarnate, so he's back up anyway, and Infamous not willing to throw out that GG just yet, but can't imagine they're going to have more than 1 more shot at this, if that, because the tier 4s are under attack, and there it is. The GG will be called.
Yeah, just too clean of a victory. Just felt like 5RAT got them right where they want him. Just almost baiting DNM pretty much the entire 20 minutes of this game up until the point where they started turning things around. But, you know, sure, kill everybody but the Wraith King. That's what Infamous needed to do, but they kill the Wraith King, they kill him twice, they've used absolutely everything, they run out of BKBs. It's where they were in such a good position, unironically, from Infamous. If they just decided to slow things down, get a Deso, get an Ag Shard on the Dawnbreaker, get the Blink, get the BKB on the Tusk, just play for that timing instead. They ended up going for these BKBs and then staggering themselves where, okay, now Oscar's ready to go. He's ready. Okay, now we need to wait another 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, now Sven's ready. Okay, 1 more minute. Now Tusk is ready. You just have this 6-minute window where everybody is waiting for that next item timing and not enough plays are being made. Even though I think during that window, maybe they get that 1 kill on Kit's top. But aside from that, they just never really hit. And I think another big part of it is they never get real vision down in this game. MJZ just never finds the moment where, okay, Disruptor, he smokes down towards bottom, gets 2 wards down where Broodmother doesn't know what's going on, and then we have a position to smoke to. Or in the same situation, top, there was just always a hero to block him, either Moose or AB1, just making sure that there wasn't that opportunity. And so we never really got to see Infamous flip the map either, aside from the early game where Sebas is running around like a madman. But even that didn't feel too successful. It felt like time and time again, all of Infamous's plays were stonewalled, and the only thing they had going for them was that BKB, triple BKB timing that sure they won, but they didn't continue to win, and that's kind of why they lost here. In 30 minutes, I mean, this game was over really before it got started.
Yeah. And it's kind of a shame because, you know, you and I both said we liked the Infamous draft that they had put together, and on paper it had answers to a lot of our biggest questions, but the pacing and the execution is always where you have to actually translate your hypothetical strength into real strength, and between a combination of, as you said, Infamous missing some timings and 5RAT taking the rest away, it really just never came together for them. So that leads us into an interesting situation for Game 2, because I feel like Infamous don't necessarily have to change much in terms of their draft strategy, but they needed to actually be able to make the plays when they were required.
Yeah, and I think, you know, gotta give it to Kits here. You know, I was a little bit concerned coming in. Kits Puck is a hero that I've seen him struggle with before, but made it look good, made it look easy, continued as I and am going to keep calling him just a dodge artist. Just
Mm.
ends up none of the spells clip on him. It looks a lot fancier with his Ember Spirit, but hey, Puck will do, and you get spells cast on you. That's the most important thing. If you get spells cast on you and then you dodge it out, that's what matters. Because you waste it. You waste what Infamous has, and then suddenly they just get overextended, and then speed just tears them apart. I mean, it's just great stuff from 5RAT.
Mm. So 5RAT's quest for the #1 seed here coming out of Phase 2 gets off to a very strong start. We'll now see if they can get the other half of it done, right? 1 win on the board, but they would very much like 2 to put themselves in the best possible position. So we are going to be stepping away for just a little bit, but we'll be back in just a few minutes with that Game 2 draft. So stick around. We'll be back after the break.